We have a new thing in this generation, thanks to, the beautiful publishing company of Art Scroll. We have Chumash and Art Scroll. It's a new thing. You saw that in the Shulchan Aruch, Chumash and Art Scroll. So we're going to have now today a session in Chumash and Art Scroll, okay? So as we begin the second book of the 5 books of the Torah, we start now, and again, if we're learning Chumash with Art Scroll, we're using the English a lot. You could be different. There's different levels. You can use the English and the Hebrew sometimes. So we're going to try to use both sides of the page, okay? Chumash and Art Scroll. So if I come here, I have a transliteration of Parshas Shemos, which means this Torah portion is called the portion of names. If I look to the Hebrew side, I see the same thing in Hebrew. Parshat Shemot, the portion of names. And in fact, the book itself, the entire book that we're going to go through now for several weeks, it's called the book of Shemot in Hebrew, names. When I go to the other side, so they have a transliteration, Shemos, names, and then they have another word here, Exodus. And that becomes confusing. Why is there one word on the Hebrew side and Art Scroll slips in another word on the English side? Exodus, not even an English word, Greek. Exodus. Exodus is essentially, what Exodus means is to depart, right? It really means Geula. It means the redemption of the Jewish people. The Jewish people left Egypt in this book. That's the big climactic event is when after 10 plagues the Jews up and leave Egypt, and so that's Exodus. Now, the question I want to ask is this: why do we have a Greek name that's different from the Hebrew name? Why didn't, when the Greeks named the book, why didn't they also call it names? And furthermore, what's this idea that I'm seeing both these names together? What can I make of that? What's the lesson that we can learn? When we look at the book of Shemot, we see an unbelievable thing. We see God acting in a way that is unusual. It's a big novelty to see the creator of the world come and do miracles. It starts with him talking to Moshe, and then they go to Egypt, and there's constant miracles surrounding all of that, what happens in Egypt. 10 plagues which are miraculous and show really the power of Hashem in able to control everything in the world. And it culminates with Yetziat Mitzrayim, leaving Egypt, and the splitting of the sea, where they say many, many more miracles occurred at the splitting of the sea. And of course the Jews continue on and receive a Torah 50 days later. Unbelievable big events that are like, wow. And that's Exodus. That's the Greek name of the Torah, of the book, it's all about the big things that happened in this book. But what I would like to say, answering my question, is this. Ironically, when we speak about God, so let's be honest, is it so spectacular, is it so impressive that God can make a miracle? I mean, he's the creator. Of course he could make miracles. So the real point, and the Ramban, Nachmanides mentions this, is that for God, both nature and miracle are really one and the same. God can do anything, and he doesn't have to do big things. He can do small things, and he can control everything in whatever way he chooses. So miracles are not really what makes God so impressive. God's impressive anyway without the miracles. So what's the big deal of this book of Shemot? What's so important, what's so special about this entire book that tells us so many miracles that God did? And I think the answer is in the very name that we say every time we look at the book. Shemot, names. Who are they? Whose names are we talking about? What is this book about? So if you look, it says, Ve'ele Shemot b'nei Yisrael. These are the names of the Jewish people. And so what the Greeks missed, that the rabbis understood to know that this book should be named, the name of this book should be names, is this. When talking about Hashem, it's not so much that he did miracles, but who he chose to do those miracles for. That's the point of this book. This book is about Hashem saying, I'm with you, I care about you, and therefore I'm going to take my time to govern over you and show you miracles, all because I love you, all because I care about you. That's the message of the book. Not the miracles, but the love, the attention. That's what Sefer Shemot is about, and it's about the names of the Jewish people. When you talk about names, so it's very personal. Every person is unique. There are no two faces that are alike, and no two ways of thinking that are identical. Even twins, I am a twin actually. We're not identical. I'm pretty handsome. I'm not sure about my twin, by the way, but some say he's handsome too. I'm saying there are no two people that are alike. So when we specifically mention in the beginning of this book that these are the names of the Jewish people, it's pointing at really what we've been speaking about all along. God relates to each and every one of us personally. Each person is like an only child for Hashem. In physical existence, a father can't have more than one only child. He can only have one only child. But Hashem is not limited like that. For Hashem, each one of us is his only child. B'ni bechori, it says it in Tehillim, my firstborn child. We are all that special person that Hashem gives us himself entirely to, and we have that opportunity to give ourselves over to him entirely. And that's what it says about going to the Beis HaMikdash. It says when we came to the Beis HaMikdash, we came to see God, and we came to be seen by God. And of course, anyone knows about Rosh Hashanah, so we're taught that he can look at everything, not just every person, everything in the entire world in a split second, individually, independently, and judge the entire world in a second, which means you, Yosef, got your personal judgment, you got your personal judgment, we each get our own personal judgment in the same second. This is miraculous because Hashem can do that. Okay, so that's the message here about these are the names of the Jewish people. And that's why it's so important to start the book this way, because we have to understand that everything that we're going to continue reading now is all about relationship between us and Hashem.